All right, good morning, everyone. This is, I think, is this the fifth time we've done this? I think this is the fifth time that we've done this particular event, the Lamoille County Business Assistance and Financial Forum. And we're going to be using the same format as we've done in the past. Each of the panelists up here will have 5 to 10 minutes to talk about what they do, how they do it, and then we're going to open it up for general questions from all of you. First thing I'd like to do is introduce the panel to you. And after I do that, I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves and what your business is or what business you're thinking about so that they know who they're talking to, okay? Got Darcy Carter from the SBA, Small Business Administration. We have Patricia Giavara from the Vermont Manufacturing Extension Center. Unyoung Denny from the Vermont Economic Development Authority. Bonnie Sanders from the Vermont Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Okay. Rich Grogan, who is the new ED for Community Capital Vermont. Cheryl Deschamps from USDA, she's not new. She's been there for a while. How many years now? Okay. Tim Tierney, who's just about 24, who's from the Agency of Commerce. Janice St. Ong, who represents the Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund, Flexible Capital Fund.
Just the Flexible Capital Fund.
Okay, we're not using the VSDF anymore? Okay. Carmen Tall is not here yet from the Vermont Community Loan Fund. Megan Sullivan, who's also from the Agency of Commerce. She's doing double duty today. She actually runs VEGI, which is the Vermont Employment Growth Incentive Fund, but she's also going to be talking about the Vermont Training Program because John Young, who does that, is busy in the legislature talking to those fun guys. So he's not here today. And we have Susan Murray from the U.S. Export Assistance Center, which is a federal program. And last but not least, Charlie Inninger, who is the area business advisor for both Central Vermont and Lamoille County for the Vermont Small Business Development Center. So, going back this way, would you like to introduce yourselves to these people?
Sure. I'm Zach Leonard. I operate High Hopes Orchards, small organic orchard up in Westfield. I also hire out services to people who want to plant and or grow orchard plants.
Great.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jill Ann. I'm hoping to start a small business in Stowe. It's kind of a unique thing, or maybe it's not that unique, it's new to me. It's called a salt cave. It's a holistic kind of healing, sort of meditation, day spa combo of so a salt cave along with a little bit of retail and some aqua massage tables. Like in a one space I have in mind already in town.
Great. June, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is June, and I'm doing my internship at the Agency of Commerce and Community. I'm just coming here to learn and observe things.
Great.
My name is Chris Snyder from Disciple and Purpose Artist Cooperative LLC. It's an arts and entertainment company, pretty small, trying to connect artists, places to put their artwork out, or get their writing in places. I also, last year, had a failed attempt at starting the entertainment side of the business, which was supposed to be wrestling. You live, you learn, you move on, and keep progressing forward.
Amen.
That's right.
My name is Lincoln Nori, and I'm thinking about opening an all Vermont. I don't know how to really explain it. I want all Vermont products in it, but I want all local Vermont products in it. I don't want products that are made here, but everything comes from other places. I want to actually meet the farmer. I want to know where his cows came from. And I want to do it across from Ben and Jerry's, so we'll see.
Ben and Jerry's in Waterbury?
Yeah. The little antique store over there, that's for sale. That would not be the perfect spot, but, you know, we'll see.
My name is Suzanne Dodge. I live in Johnson, and for the last 4 years, I have a kind of a nano coffee roasting business out of my house. And my son's now first grade, so I don't have to be around as much, and I'd like to expand my coffee roasting business.
Good morning, Michael Boudreau, company Sterling Technologies. We're basically a local contract manufacturer that has no local business to speak of in the state, very little actually. We provide custom machining for OEM manufacturers in the semiconductor, automation, medical, and aerospace industries. And we also provide value-added services for clean room services and assembly and test. And we are located right in Morrisville.
I'm Christian Thieberge, in the early stages of starting a brewery in the Stowe area. Here to hear what you guys have to
Got, we'll just hang on a second here, get these nice people up and get them introduced, and then we'll get things going. Once again, the format will be, each of them will talk about 5-10 minutes tops about what their organizations do. We'll get down to Charlie. After Charlie's through, we'll open it up to you to any questions you may have. Okay. And there's also literature from many of these organizations on the table over there if there's anything that you need. And would you nice people like to introduce yourselves?
My name's Andrew from Hoodmix Foods. It's a superfood company. It was started in Australia by my little sister. Now we make it in Waitsfield using her recipe. It's my wife Rania. We've been making it in Waitsfield for about 3 years and just gradually growing. So came along to try and learn a bit more about finance and possibilities.
Great. All right. Would you like to kick things off, Darcy?
All right. Well, good morning. Can you guys hear me okay? Usually my husband says I sound like a little dying bird, so.
Fortunately, the acoustics in here are pretty good.
We'll
make sure you're close to the mic.
To what I have to say. Okay, good. Well, so SBA, we're a very small federal agency, and our sole mission is to help people get a business started and to have it grow successfully. And we do that in 3 basic ways. We provide one-on-one free confidential business advising through 3 different sources. One at least is here today. And we also provide access to loans and other kind of venture funds. And the third is to help you sell your product to the federal government or to be a subcontractor with them. And I don't want to repeat what our colleagues will be talking about because there's a little bit of overlap. But the 3 sources of business advising is the Vermont Small Business Development Center. Charlie down at the end will talk to you about that. And then we have our Women's Business Center called the Center for Women in Enterprise that's based out of Burlington but serves the whole state. And if you're interested in that, see me afterwards because I'll get you the contact information for that. And then we also have SCORE, which is a national organization that we help fund. And they are volunteers that are business owners or former business owners. And the good news is we have a chapter that serves Vermont, but also nationally you can be connected with people that are highly specialized. So there might be somebody in your specialty food product industry somewhere, maybe in California or whatever, who's willing to mentor you for free, confidentially. It would be like Skype, that kind of thing. So just like people to know it's free. It's kind of a best kept secret. You can go as many times as you want. Like I said, it's confidential. And it's available all over Vermont and in every state. So you'll hear a little more about that from Charlie. The other area that we talk about quite a bit is getting funding for your business. And often when people think about, hey, I need money for my business, they really actually kind of need business advising to help them figure out how much money do you need for that business. And again, that's why we encourage you to go to a business advisor. And there are many different kinds of capital that aren't that obvious to people just starting out looking for funding for their business. And one of them is what we call kind of alternative organizations that are here today, that they're not a bank, they're not a credit union, they're usually a nonprofit organization that has a mission to lend particularly to startup businesses, and they have a special focus on different market areas, maybe agriculture, childcare, things like that. And those will be talked about today, but also they are very helpful to veterans, minority-owned businesses, and women-owned businesses. They have a very good track record. So some folks feel very comfortable going to those organizations, and their interest rates are still quite competitive. So the message is, don't go to one of these online lenders that's 80%, 70% interest rate. Don't get, bamboozled by anything like that, because those people are out there just like the social media. They sneak on your website and sneak on your Facebook and tell you, and it sounds so good, but I'm just telling you, locally, we have great options that are on reasonable terms. And the way SBA helps is that we are a credit enhancement, so we back the loan that a bank or a credit union would make, and we help fund the other alternative lenders that make direct loans to you. So we're kind of behind the scenes. But you've probably heard about SBA loans, and that's if your loan request falls outside of a bank or credit union's normal policy just a little bit. Maybe you're in a very specialized industry. Maybe your business doesn't have much collateral, because banks are, they're more conservative, they're regulated, so look for a secondary source of repayment. So SBA is actually kind of standing in for maybe a shortfall in collateral. And the reason you would, if your bank's like, well, we may need to do this with SBA or with VITA, you'll hear from VITA today as well, that's fine, because you're going to still get reasonable terms, and it's going to be based on your cash flow, and it's a local lender that's doing the deal. So I'll leave it at that, because we've got many other people to hear from. We do help veterans. We've got our new guide out here is our business director guide. We have many of them, so feel free to take them. And if you have any other questions, I'm here all morning. Thank you.
Good morning. So I'm Patricia Giovara with VMEC, which is the Vermont Manufacturing Extension Center. I definitely want to say pick up the guide. 16 and a half years ago, the reason I connected with VMEC and learned about them as an organization was from the SBA that I picked up at the Women's Business Center at the time. Yeah. But anyway, so VMEC, our mission is to strengthen and empower Vermont's manufacturers. That includes food manufacturers, machine shops, breweries. If you're making something, adding value to some raw material or some other product, it could be assembly, then that's VMEC's primary mission. We also do work with other organizations, including energy companies, financial organizations, education, and others. But the primary focus is manufacturing. So what we do really falls into 4 different areas. The first one we call operational excellence. So this would be how to, I'm going to say, increase your cash flow, how to decrease the time it takes from when you have a customer inquiry or order until the time that you ship it and then get paid, right? So it's all about increasing that velocity and looking for how to take out anything that we would call non-value added, anything the customer isn't willing to pay for, identify those slowdowns or wastes or whatever, take those out of the system, whether that's in the manufacturing area or it could also be in the office area, right? Just how you handle all of that, all of the orders and supply chain and things like that. So how to increase the speed, take out all of that waste, increase the amount of value added and the velocity through your process. We do that using a methodology called lean manufacturing that was first pioneered by Toyota. We have, I want to mention on this note that we do have some workshops coming up, which is a good way that companies first get introduced to VMEC, maybe coming to a public workshop. And over in the months of May and June, we just happen to have several of our workshops posted: lean manufacturing, structured problem solving, value stream mapping, and there's more information on our website about all of those, or I'm happy to talk with you afterward. The second area that we work with companies is growth and innovation. So how to come up with those new ideas, new product ideas. Somebody mentioned a unique, that is really important, right? We have to have meaningfully unique products and services so that customers are going to buy yours, right, instead of someone else's, and they're willing to pay more money for it. In that area of growth services, we also partner with several of the different organizations here on how to help companies export and run a program called Export Tech. So you'll hear a little bit more about that, so I won't get into it. But So yeah, anything around that will help grow your business and innovate. The third area is workforce development. And of course, workforce right now is a really big topic, right? I mean, it's hard to find employees and employees with the skills that you need. So one thing is when you can have your operation move as smoothly as possible, you may not need as many people, and also there are standard ways to train people to be more effective so that everybody in your organization is contributing and kind of aimed in that same direction, right? So helping with what we call, with strategy, engaging employees on improvement and teaching them how to contribute to your company's success. The fourth area is being a resource. So part of our mission is to be a resource to manufacturers. So that means any question that you have, I mean, we don't have all of the answers, but we will help you find answers. So if you're trying to source something, if you have a complex technical problem and you need some unique testing done, VMEC at the federal level is connected in through the U.S. Department of Commerce and the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So, I mean, we're, data and measurements people. So if there's issues in that area, we certainly can help. But if you have a question about manufacturing, again, and most of the organizations here know each other as well, so we can, if it's something that isn't in VMEC's area, we can point you in another direction. We are a fee-for-service, scaled to company size, and some of the other programs you'll hear about here, we partner with to help you get started.
Young.
Great. Good morning. My name is Eun-Young Denny, and I'm a commercial loan officer at VEDA, Vermont Economic Development Authority. We are economic development finance agency. It was created by Vermont legislator in 1974, I believe, so it's over 47 years. So we are a financing agency, and we're quasi-state agency because it was created by the Vermont legislator, and also our board, we are governed by the independent board, but the board is appointed by the governor, so we are still kind of considered as a quasi-state agency. What we do is our mission actually is try everything through the financing to keep good and well-paying job in Vermont. So we do that through providing financing. So we work with banks or credit unions in Vermont or outside, whoever is interested in financing projects for Vermont businesses, for their expanding, capital investments, anything like that. So we typically partner up with the banks. They would finance 50%, and we would provide the subordinated financing to the banks or credit unions for the same project. So that means it will leave as little as about 10% equity injection for the project financing. So we have two big departments. I'm part of the commercial side, and then we also have the other part, agriculture side, and they are doing a lot of agriculture financing. So these days, I think the hot topic is financing hemp growing, since now it's legal, and so there's some, some fine line between the legal and illegal still, growing hemp versus processing hemp. So we're still figuring that out, but our agriculture side is accepting applications for hemp growing farming. Basically, it's a growing part of it, not processing part, because there are some still illegal side of it is involved. So that's kind of a hot topic these days in the agriculture side. So basically, we're a financing agency, and our loan portfolio at this point is about $220 million. We do a lot of different financing. Typical financing is for if business wants to purchase a real estate. They've been leasing it and they want to just own the building, then that would be one project we do, and also equipment financing, any type of working capital for inventory purchase and things like that. Again, we typically partner up with the banks and credit unions for that. And we have over about 10 different programs for all different sizes of the businesses in Vermont. Mostly it's seasoned business, but we do have a program backed by the SBA program called the Community Advantage, where we could do a little bit more risky lending for development stage or sometimes a startup business if that's reasonable to do. So we are out in Montpelier, and we also have a satellite offices in Burlington, Middlebury for a lot of agriculture lending, and also St. Johnsbury for agriculture lending. So we cover all over Vermont, and let's see. Oh, we also been doing a lot of financing for renewable energy, so financing solar installation or any type of digesters. Apparently, these days we're getting a lot of inquiries about installing digesters for the farms and things like that. So we do pretty much everything except for financing housing. So that's something that we cannot do because there's another entity who does that financing. So.
All right. Thank you. Bonnie, over to you.
Hi. I get really excited about my job, so forgive me. I'm with the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, also called PTAC, and we exist to help Vermont businesses connect with local, state, and federal contracting. That's all we do. We help you with registrations. We help you make sense of that 98-page RFP you just opened up and went, no way. We're kind of like an unpaid right hand for you. We help you as much or as little as you want. I'm located in Montpelier, but we do have offices around the state. People can come into us, or we can come into you. We understand that a lot of your businesses are 1 to 10 people shops, and you can't always get in your car and drive to Montpelier. So we come when it's convenient to you. We help make things work. We offer a lot of different kinds of training through workshops. We have matchmaking events where you can go in and you can network with, possible primes that you can offer your services to or directly to the government. We do a lot of work with the chambers and the RDCs with their members. In fact, next month we have May. Is this May yet? In May, we have a really great introduction to a PTAC workshop in Montpelier. If anyone would like to go, that's on our website. We'll talk about it after. We help you with things like a capability statement, which is a glorified one-page business card, which is all the federal government wants to see. They don't want your business card. They don't want a link to your website. They want a capability statement. We help you with that. We help with all kinds of socio-economic programs like the Hub Zone and 8.8, veterans-owned businesses. We refer a lot of people to other people sitting at this table so they can bring their specialty services in. We offer a bid match service, which is kind of sort of like works in progress, except it scours all over the country for different types of opportunities. We help you find your GSA number for your particular product, especially if you're a specialty product, so you can go into federal contracting. There's a whole bunch of codes with alphabet names that we help you find which is the right ones for you, which is very important, because if the government is looking for your product, you want to make sure you have that right code. We do the one-on-one counseling. We do teamwork when it's appropriate. We have mini workshops. We don't have an advertising budget, so we ask you to tell your friends, because we really are truly the best kept secret in state government. There is never a charge for our services. How about that? Never. We are not quite at your beck and call, but darn close. So SAM registration is very important, and that can really make your eyes kind of bounce back and forth a little bit, so we help you with that. That's an annual requirement. And all of our counselors, we each have a little area of expertise. We cross over a lot. I might say, hey, Brenda, I need some Help Zone help today, or Babette, they're looking for a military contract. So we have a really great, close team tight-knit, and if we don't know the answer, we're gonna find someone who does for you. So I hope to talk to you afterwards. How's that?
All right, thank you.
Great.
Over to you, Rich.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to hear someone passionate about their work.
I am. I'm
That's
very excited
fantastic.
about it.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks to John for giving CCVT a little bit of airtime this morning. I appreciate that, and thanks to you all for being here. I know how important, how valuable your time is when you're trying to start a business or starting a business. So I'm going to speak a little bit about Community Capital of Vermont. We are a statewide micro lender. We're headquartered in Barre, but we work statewide. We do not have satellite offices, but we have cars. And so we can drive out to see your business. We work between, we lend between $1,000 and $100,000. So we really are for primarily early stage businesses, although we do work with some later stage businesses who want to do, for example, a product extension or something like that. And our focus is really, and our mission is to lend to businesses who aren't able to access credit anywhere else. And that can be because of a lack of collateral, it can be a lack of business history, etc. So what we really focus on is the character of the entrepreneur and the strength of their business plan and the strength of their idea. We partner with several of the people at this table, and I think that's one of the things that I'm not originally from New England, but it's something that I really like about working in New England is that you have multiple access points sitting up here, and if one of us can't help you, we can often refer you to the right person who can. We are a little bit unique in that we combine the lending that we do with a technical assistance piece as well. We have somewhat limited capacity in-house, and so we rely on folks like the SBDC to provide technical assistance, but we also have some in-house technical assistance. So I would add a fourth leg to Darcy's stool that she created about SBA-funded technical assistance, and also give a shout out to Cheryl from USDA because both those entities fund technical assistance within our organization. So about 45% of our portfolio is startups. Often, as you know, startups, as many of you are trying to do startups, don't have access to credit, so we work on that. About 85% of our borrowers combined are low to moderate income individuals, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses, so that's where we focus a lot of our energy. We're industry agnostic, so we lend really to almost every industry. In fact, we like to diversify our portfolio as much as possible. We've had a couple of inquiries this week that kind of tick boxes for us that we don't otherwise have in our portfolio, so that kind of thing gets us really excited about our work. You mentioned a salt cave. Actually, not a weird idea. We actually have a salt cave in our portfolio, and I heard some other heads nodding up here, so there is some expertise for that in the state, so happy to hear that. You know, that's kind of a message for all entrepreneurs is you're not alone. Somewhere there's someone who's doing something, and you can leverage some expertise in that way. We're quite a bit smaller than, for example, Vita Unyoung, who is on one of our loan committees, so I should give you a shout out as well. Thank you. She mentioned that their portfolio is around $220 million. Carve that off significantly, our portfolio is about $3 million. Our average loan size is about $20,000, just to give you an idea of kind of the size loans that we tend to go after. We also do something else kind of cool, I think, which is that we administer a lot of the revolving loan funds in the state. So there are a group of towns and entities in the state who've received community development block grant funds. They've put those out as revolving loan funds, and they've asked community capital to administer those. So we often have kind of a unique mix of funds that we can put together for businesses that might involve a little bit of federal money and a little bit of revolving loan money and a little bit of foundation money, and we can kind of try to work together with you to make that work. We do charge a premium for this service, which is a little bit higher than what you're going to pay at a bank, but because almost 50% of our portfolio is startups, and we do take on a little bit more risk than your average lender. We do charge for that, but not an exorbitant rate. We're also a lot of fun to work with, and we're really cool people. So I invite you to ask questions afterwards or come up and see me to learn more about us. And I'll stop right there so that my colleagues have plenty of time to educate you about their services.
Thank you, Rich. Cheryl.
Good morning. My name's Cheryl Ducharme. I'm the Business Programs Director at USDA, and I'm going to just start with a little bit of a general overview about USDA rural development. So USDA rural development is a dual state jurisdiction, and by what I mean is that we cover both Vermont and New Hampshire. We have 55 employees that do that. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for rural Americans. It's kind of a big push there. And we do that with 3 divisions. And those 3 divisions have 46 programs to offer. I promise I'm not going to go through all of those today because, in all honesty, I don't think I could, for one thing. That's a lot of programs. But the 3 divisions have a theme, and those themes are, we have a housing division, we have a community programs division, and then we have a business programs division. And within those 3 divisions, we offer grants, we offer guaranteed loans, and we offer direct loans. So there's that kind of overarching theme. The housing division provides very low and low income and moderate income people subsidized housing opportunities for purchase and for rehab. So basically that means 100% financing. It's been around for a really, really long time. Some of you may have heard of it. It used to be called Farmers Home Administration, and that was when we did farms and we did single family housing then. So this is a program that's been around for many, many years, and as a matter of fact, all those 24 years ago, I started in the single family housing division. It's a great program, and we have a fairly big division that works with our single family housing division. Then we have our community programs division. Community programs division also has a side overarching division called WEP, which is our water and environmental program. So community programs division works with towns, municipalities, and nonprofits, where they can do firehouses, they can do fire engines, they can do ambulance services, they can do town halls, libraries, all different types of municipal community, essential community programs is basically where they go. On the website, the water and environmental programs, many of you may have come across where you see these big white signs that say, funded by USDA Rural Development. That's where you put in water lines, sewer treatment facilities. That's where our water and environmental programs come into play. Again, both those divisions, grants, guaranteed loans, and direct loans, and that's how they accomplish those tasks. Then there's the business program side. That's where I am the director. We have 9 programs under the business program side that we can achieve all different types of assistance, if you will, grants, guaranteed loans, and direct loans. Our applicants can be nonprofits, they can be for-profits, they can be agricultural producers, okay? And we can achieve those grants, guaranteed loans, and direct loans in a multiple of ways. We can do rural business development grants, which the applicant for that is a nonprofit, somebody looking to do a feasibility study, somebody looking to expand, somebody looking to market. It's a great program. We have guaranteed loans, not unlike the SBA. That's where you would go to a lender, and maybe you're looking to start up. We do startups. You can do expansion, and your lender may be a little bit uncomfortable, maybe not, and would look for that guaranteed loan. What is that? Darcy explained it. It's basically insurance. Lender would come to us to guarantee that loan, and we can do that at a level of 80% or less, depending on the loan amount. And so that's where our guaranteed loan portfolio comes into play there. We do have direct loan money under business programs, but not to an applicant coming in the door, but out to the regional planning commissions, out to the economic development authorities like VITA, like RICH. We can do it that way. So what we do, it is in the form of a revolving loan fund where we lend the money to the VITAs, to RICH, and they in turn revolve it out. This is a perfect opportunity because they have more people on staff than what we have, and they can reach more people out, more small businesses that can do startups, that want to expand, want to do marketing, whatever the case may be. You probably heard another theme here where everybody knows everybody else, okay? If we can't help you with 46 programs, we're going to refer to somebody here or elsewhere that can. The other piece that you want to keep in mind is if we can help, maybe we can only help this much. We're going to work with SBA, we're going to work with RICH, we're going to work with VITA or anyone else at this table and maybe be a part of and play in that arena with you. It's not a competitive situation. We want to see that your project works. ACCD is another really big partner for us, so state and federal can work together. Private and federal can work together. We don't have issues with that. So if you take nothing away from here, remember that everybody will work together to see that you can get your project moving forward down the road, and that's what everybody wants here. Okay? Thank you.
Drop the mic on that one, Chair. That's very good.
Over to you, Tim.
So, Tim Tierney, I have a great title. I have the Director of International Trade and Business Recruitment for the Department of Economic Development and the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. How about that one? Right? But I also have some other roles. Another role is I'm also on the Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economic Collaborative, which is a new initiative here in the state and a large part of my background. But I'm also the State Program Manager for the Northern Border Regional Commission. But I also want to say, because they're not represented here, I do want to talk a little bit, because I think a lot of 5 companies here actually touch basically the Agency of Agricultural Food and Markets here in the state of Vermont. And I think that's where you guys can get a lot of help if you ever go on their website. They administer a lot of different marketing programs. They also have, which I'm sitting on, the Working Lands Enterprise Board has grants that will be available in the fall, especially I'm thinking the orchards here, the brewery over here. We got the food, the superfood. That's a great place to go. Just look, I just want to put that out there. And obviously they can talk to it more. But again, we're like one big network here. You know, it takes a village here in Vermont. And we can refer you to the correct places. So to talk a little bit about what part of my program is the State Trade Expansion Program, which we refer to as STEP, which is monies provided by the Small Business Administration. And what we can do is help companies that have already looked into, once you get to a level of looking to export outside the country, there are programs like we mentioned, Export Tech is a great immersive program to get involved when you really want to create a plan for that. And once you get to that place, we can provide money to attend trade shows that will actually help you export internationally as well. So all this information is right. You know, I think we have a, I don't want to say a great website, but a pretty good referral website at the ACCD, the Agency of Community Development and Commerce. But yeah, there's so many different programs. The NBRC doesn't really affect here because it's for municipalities and nonprofits. But we do provide resources to certain nonprofits that again can provide loans or assistance or technical assistance. There's a lot of technical assistance out there for folks who are looking for it. And I applaud you guys even being here today, because I think that's step one of getting out there and realizing what all the resources that can be there to help you. Also, mention that it's a huge network. The artists, I don't know if you've got in touch with the Vermont Creative Network or the Vermont Arts Council, right? So just, you know, there's monies that they receive from our programs or through grants that can help out folks get started. So, but basically, we're here to help as a resource and a referral. Please contact all these folks and me. So, good luck. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Tim. Janice.
So my name is Janice St. Ange. I'm with the Flexible Capital Fund, and I'm going to talk in a minute about what we do at the Flex Fund. But I also wear the hat of being on the steering committee for a relatively new group called the Vermont Women's Investors Network. And so that's a network that's hoping to educate women on how they can invest their money locally and women entrepreneurs in the state of Vermont. So just throwing that out there. And the reason I bring that up because 10 years ago, I think the makeup of this panel might look a little different. It might be male dominated. Just like to say, ladies, 9 of us. All right, so sorry about that.
Sorry. I love it.
But I just had to put that out there. It's good. So anyway, I digress. The Flexible Capital Fund provides what I would call growth stage financing to companies in Vermont's food system, forestry, and clean technology market sector. So it's pretty broad, but we are somewhat sector specific because our mission is really to help build healthy food systems, to create resilient communities, and mitigate climate change. So that's kind of the overarching mission of who we are and what we do. We do that by using an alternative form of investment structure. And if folks have this little lovely capital continuum in front of them, this is something that we created a while ago just to give you kind of a sense of what types of investment structures are out there. When I say investment structure, I mean, we've talked a lot about debt, which is essentially a loan that you get money and then you have to repay it back to the lender based on a percentage interest rate and a time frame. And so that means that you're paying it out of cash flow typically. We've also heard from the lenders here that they are also looking at collateral. So collateral being your assets, whether it's a piece of real estate and a piece of equipment, inventory or receivables, that's your secondary source of repayment. And so understanding, I think it's important when you're looking at what kind of capital is going to be right to finance your business, really thinking about, okay, what are my assets? And what is my cash flow? Debt is most often the first thing we think about, and rightfully so, because it's not, if you're taking on a loan, you're not giving up ownership in the business. You're not giving up decision making. You're asking a lender to take a risk on you, and you're providing them with guarantee, or you're essentially signing a document that says, I'm going to pay you back based on this rate and this time frame. And if I don't pay you back, you can sell my assets. So that's a lot of what debt is about. We're a little bit different. We have the primary type of investment that we do is through royalty financing. So instead of, it's still a loan. So we're going to, let's say we're lending you $100,000. You're going to be repaying us back on a percentage of revenue over time instead of a fixed monthly principal and interest payment. And the reason we're offering that investment structure is because sometimes there's going to be companies as they grow that need a smaller payment in the early years of their business. And so when your revenue is low, your percentage revenue is going to be low. And as you grow, you're slowly gaining the ability to pay a little bit more each as you grow your business each year. So for companies that are in that growth stage where they are starting to really ramp up their business, having a little bit more flexibility in the amount of the payment that they're making can be a benefit. So it's not for everybody. Royalty financing is a really good fit for companies that have sufficient what folks would call gross profit margins, so that you can take that royalty percentage off the top and not negatively impact your ability to run the business. And you need to be growing. So if you're a business that's going to be at 100,000 over the next 10 years, probably not a good fit, because we want to be able to get our money back in a relatively shorter period of time, anywhere from 5 to 10 years. So royalty financing is a good fit for companies that already have revenues, so we don't typically work with startups. I don't think it's a good type of structure for a startup business. But if you're approaching a couple $100,000 in revenue and you really are growing, it can be a good fit and an alternative, as I mentioned, to other types of structures. So the other thing we haven't talked about on this panel is equity investment. Folks familiar with what equity investment is? So there are definitions on the back too. But just to be clear, because I think it's important, again, when we talk about financing a business, to understand what's the right match of capital for the stage of growth that you're in. Are you a startup? Are you an early stage? Are you growing? Are you a mature business? What's the right match of capital for the market that you're selling into? Are you going direct to consumer, or are you business to business? And then what's the right match of capital for the scale that you want to grow to? Are you going to be a business that's going to be moving along at 100,000 for the next 10 years? Then equity investment is probably not a good fit for you. Are you a business that wants to really grow rapidly and you need to keep all the cash in the business so that you can get to that $1 million, $2 million, $3 million? Then equity investment that doesn't require repayment may be a good fit. So I think understanding that type of capital mix and what is going to be the right match for the stage of growth, the scale, and the market you're selling into is important. And that's where that business advisory capacity comes in really handy. And so when Charlie talks about what the Small Business Development Center does and what Rich talks about in terms of the technical assistance that they provide, really important, because sometimes you're going to need more than one kind of capital. You might need a loan for that piece of equipment, and you might need a different kind of investment structure for working capital to hire the people that walk out the door at night and you can't collateralize. You can't put a lien on a person. So sometimes that's a harder type of business activity to finance. So I just want to make sure we put it out there that and reiterate that we all work together. We hopefully all understand what each other does, and if it's not going to be a fit for us, we are going to refer out to the other folks here. We do, in addition to the royalty financing that we provide to our companies, we do have the ability to provide business assistance as well. We have a small grant pool that we can help facilitate. So if you need marketing expertise or you need help with financial systems and that sort of thing, we can come in with a little bit of grant money to support that, because the kind of lending that we do with royalty financing, we're not guaranteed we're going to get repaid in the time frame that we're looking at, primarily because we're betting the farm that you're going to fulfill on your projections. So if you say you're going to get to $5 million in 5 years, we're going to structure our investment hopefully to get repaid in that time frame. But there's no guarantees. We all know what happens with businesses. Things don't go as planned. That is actually the only thing you can count on. They won't go as planned. So we are taking risk, and so our capital, again, in this continuum, the idea is to show you this is lower cost capital because it's lower risk. So a bank's going to take collateral in addition to cash flow. As you move up the continuum, higher cost, higher risk. So we're going to typically take on more risk because we don't require collateral. If you're a business whose assets are people, we don't shy away from that. We don't necessarily require collateral. We're just going to price it accordingly. And we're not going to be as expensive as equity investment, because equity investment, again, highest risk. They don't expect to get repaid until and unless you sell the business or you buy back your stock. And so that's a much riskier investment. So you're going to want to get 3 to 5 times your money on that, as opposed to some of the other folks down the continuum. So the Flex Fund has put out about $4.5 million to date in companies that are across those spectrums. And for us, before we even look at the financial side of a business, we are going to make sure that they're in the context of both our market sectors and within the context of our mission fit. So we want to work with businesses that are out there not only providing a valuable product or service, but that are also helping people, other businesses in the value chain that they work in. So as a food business, you talked about working with other orchards, you're helping raise the tide for everybody. That's really important to us. So it may not be for some of the other folks, but as an impact investor, we really want to know that you're providing value add to not only your customers, but to the other vendors that you work with. And so I just put that out there. Oftentimes, if you, as you're growing your business, think about alignment of your own values with those folks that you're working with on the capital side, because when things don't go well, and that happens too, that's pretty much a certainty in a business, you want a partner that's going to work with you and be there as a partner. So the other thing I'll say about royalty financing is we're the only organization in Vermont, based in Vermont, that is providing that type of investment structure. But again, we often work with many other providers. So I'll give you an example of the first investment we made had 8 different lenders, investors, and providers in the mix in that project. And it was us, it was equity investors, it was the town, it was the landlord who provided financing, it was the Vermont Community Loan Fund, it was Vermont Economic Development Authority. We had 8 different types of funders in that deal. And the best part about it was that everybody sat down at the table and talked about what was the right fit for everybody. What piece did we all want to take that would help that business grow and expand? So I'll leave it at that, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you, Janice. Carmen.
That's great. I'm learning so much today. Yeah. Anyways, my name is Carmen Tall. I am with the Vermont Community Loan Fund. I'm sorry I was late. I got less, shall we say, a scenic tour of the area. Quite unplanned. So the Vermont Community Loan Fund, we're based in Montpelier, but we do serve the entire state. We, like many of my colleagues, we're a mission-based lender. So basically, we want to help you create opportunities so that we can build up our community. And also, it's real important to help you achieve financial stability in your life. And so we make loans to small businesses, either in the very startup stage, middle stage, or you're maturing. And kind of a neat niche we have is we work with early care and learning. People who want to start up early care and learning centers for young children, especially. I don't know if any of you have been touched by that. There's a real need in Vermont for places where kids can grow and learn. We also have our business program, as most of us have here, where we can help you, we can offer technical assistance to put your business plan together. A lot of lenders say, I want a business plan. Your response may be, what's that? So we can help you put your business plan together, financial projections, and help you prepare for the loan application so that you're putting your best foot forward. We have a really great program called Food, Farm, and Forest Fund. People who are in, I think I missed the beginning part, but some of you I know might be part of the working lands. We established this in 2015 to help support small farmers and people working in agriculture. For example, we have a farmer now who wants to work. You may have a short season. He's trying to devise a way where he can sell his produce year round. So if he can get a heated barn or one of these hoop tents, we're going to help him do that so he can increase his revenue and his profitability to support himself and his family. We also have a Sprout program, which is a very low interest loan if you qualify for this, and sometimes it's interest only. And we all know that cash can be tight for new businesses, and with the interest only payments, it will help you manage your cash flow a little bit better. And that was, again, started around, I think, 2016 to provide early stage businesses with that necessary capital that we all struggle to maintain when it's a new business. So it's an exciting place to be. It's great to hear you all provide, we call it technical assistance, but there's one area, especially the financial area, where a lot of our entrepreneurs don't have a lot of experience. And we'll help you with that. We'll help you pre-loan while you're running your business and also post-loan. We see a lot of businesses that are funding themselves with credit cards. Sometimes that's the only option. But we hope to provide some other options and even education for how you can better manage your capital and your workflow. So it's an exciting place to be, just to help our state, to help keep the young folks here, and just to bring financial stability to your lives. So I'll be glad to answer any questions later on.
Thanks, Carmen. Megan.
Good morning. My name is Megan Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of the Vermont Economic Progress Council. I'm going to talk a little bit about the program that I run with the council, the Vermont Employment Growth Incentive, as well as talk about the Vermont Training Program. As John mentioned, the program manager for the training program was called to the State House today. So I'll do my best to fill in for him. And I'm sure if there are questions between John and I and Tim and everybody else, we can come up with them. So the Vermont Employment Growth Incentive is a cash incentive program to induce businesses to start, grow, expand, or relocate in Vermont. This is a program with an application to the Vermont Economic Progress Council. And the application is run based on an economic model that looks at a revenue share. So if your business is going to be starting or growing, and you're looking at where that's going to happen or at what speed it's going to happen, this program can help induce growth of jobs, payroll, and capital investment in Vermont by offering part of the revenue that would be created from that growth back to you, part of the revenue for the state. So when you're growing jobs, when you're growing payroll, when you're investing in a new building, revenue comes into the state for that because there's payroll taxes and income tax and benefits to the transportation fund and the education fund. There's also costs to the state. So we look at what are the benefits and what are the costs, and where the net benefit is, the state says we're going to share part of that net benefit back with you if you choose to do that growth here. Now, there are some mandatory statutory requirements that say that if you're going to do this growth anyways, we're not going to incentivize that. It's really, or if you're going to grow at this speed, if your business plan says we're going to hire 10 people next year, then in order to qualify for this, you'd have to show that, okay, with this incentive, we might hire 40 people next year. This is called the but-for requirement of the program. You also have to overcome industry growth expectations. So if you're in an industry that is experiencing a high growth rate, let's say your industry says you're going to grow, typically anyone in this industry is going to grow 10% next year, then you would have to overcome that first 10% in order to be incentivized. So that first 10% isn't incentivized, but anything after that we could look at. So this program is looking at creating high quality jobs. So some of the other qualifications are around the pay level and compensation that are given to employees. So that right now it's 160% of minimum wage, or 140% in certain areas of the state, and some of those areas are in Lamoille County, where it's so 140% of minimum wage means any job created would have to pay $10.59 an hour, and would have to provide at least 3 benefits to the employees. They have to be full-time jobs, so at least 36 hours a week. So it is, the program is very tailored to creating high-quality jobs that will create revenue for Vermont. It is a performance-based program, so it's not a finance or tool or a granting tool where you get money up front, but upon meeting the targets that you have set for yourself. So if you say in year 1 we're going to hire 10 people, and you hire 10 people, then you would get a cash payment for that. If you do not hire 10 people, then you would not get a cash payment. So it is not, again, not a financing tool, but really to induce businesses to grow here that otherwise wouldn't be growing. It is a quick process to look at what, if you meet the criteria and what an incentive could be, we can run that through the model. But it does have to go before a board who looks at all of the criteria. So while we can come up with an estimate quickly, we do say that come in early, look at what an incentive might be, and then it would need to go before a board at one of VEPSI's monthly meetings. So that's high level of the Vermont Employment Growth Incentive. The Vermont Training Program is a workforce development program that was created to help enhance the skills of the Vermont workforce. And this is a grant program that offers up to 50% of wages of pre-employment, new employment, or incumbent employment workers during their training period. Now, it's not for training like onboarding, but for special skills training that it can be really difficult for an employer to cover the cost of, whether it's in-house training or bringing in trainers or sending folks out to get training. There's wage requirements for this program as well. Upon the completion of training, an employee has to make, what is it, 13
something. In this area,
almost
anyway.
almost $14. Sorry, I think I inverted my numbers in veggie. It's not 10.57, it's 15
Right. I guess.
Yeah, sorry. So this program is run on a rolling application basis. You would speak with the program manager, John Young, talk about what are your training needs for the next year or so, and look at how many employees will be getting trained, how long will their training last, and John will create a contract that looks at what percentages of that can be paid for with the Vermont Training Program. There's typically about an 18-day turnaround for that grant, and that is flexible, that if things change, you can come back and get revisions done to that. The training focuses on product and equipment training, technology processes, market opportunities, and significant productivity gains. It is open to all sectors and sizes of business. So both programs are really open to everyone to look at. I think that's sort of the gist of that program.
All right. Thank you, Megan.
Well done.
Susan.
You guys making it through it okay? You're almost to the end, right?
Almost breakdown.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you, John, for hosting. It's always a pleasure to come to Hyde Park, and it's great to be out in the community. So we appreciate you putting energy into this, and I know we all appreciate being here. So I'm going to be very brief. I work for the U.S. Department of Commerce, U.S. Commercial Service, and while I don't have loan or grant money to give out, I just want to let you all know that there is a great deal of assistance that can be provided if you're a company and you're looking to export your product or services internationally. So my organization has boots on the ground in countries all around the world through the embassies and consulates, and we can help with market research. We can help identify contacts. We can help you with regulatory issues that might pop up. And the federal government is happy to advocate for you if you are trying to go for a bid or do something that might need the U.S. government to formally support you in an international market. So just to let you know, there's some really great resources there. Outside of my office, there's a lot of public services, state partners, private partners that are all part of the international community that can help you export your products and get through the process. For those of you that have retail stores, I just want to plant the seed that you should, as you're making your marketing plans, that think about your international visitors. I haven't spoken to either of the chambers in your areas, but at one time, Stowe in particular was getting a lot of visitors from the UK. Obviously, we get a lot of Canadian visitors, so there's ways for you to be friendly to receive those people in your stores. There was a store in Stowe that was actually selling Vermont-made furniture to UK visitors, because at the time the exchange rate made it something that was felt that the visitors felt that they could afford. It, the shipping and the logistics, even added to the expensive Vermont-made furniture, was something that was very doable for them to take back a piece of Vermont. So just keep that in mind, that is a possibility for you. And sometimes just displaying a flag or being open to receiving somebody from a different country is, can make your business more available to that. So that's it.
Thank you, Susan. Charlie.
All right, we're ready. Hi, my name is Charlie Integer. It's good. I have a couple of clients that are here, so this is going to be something they've probably heard of. I'm with the Vermont Small Business Development Center. Our principal funder is at the end of the table. Thank you, Darcy. We work with both new and existing businesses, so just don't think we're new, but we do work with new and existing. I am the area business advisor for Washington and Lamoille. All right, but we do have area business advisors throughout the state. There's, I think, 6 of us that work throughout the state. Part of what's happened over the years is we've all become specialists in something. Somehow or another, I got stuck with beer, wine, and spirits. I don't know how that happened, but it kind of happened. We do have a restaurant specialist. throughout the state. We have a not-for-profit specialist as well. So what we do is a lot of times, depending on what the needs of the client are, we will in fact co-counsel with other advisors in the state. We're doing a lot of work with purchase and sales of businesses. So the startups, obviously, we're not there yet. But again, we are not certified valuation analysts, but we know the tools they use, so we can help if it's time to move on. Or even more important, when I'll talk with new clients, I'll say, what's your exit strategy? And they go, my God, I'm not even open yet, and he wants me to exit. But the time to start building that exit strategy is in the beginning. We provide self-help business advising through one-on-one advising. We are confidential. We are no fee. So we can help you. And we help you in many ways. We can start with the business plan. We can deal with the financials. We can deal with marketing. We can deal with human resources. If we're not it, as many people have said here, I probably have a pretty good idea of where to send you. All right, so hopefully we can get you in front of the right audience, or as I like to say, I want you playing in the right sandbox. All right, so you'll have some idea of where you're going. I have an office with John. I have an office in Montpelier, but when I first started, on the map of SBDC, I was a little car driving all around the state. So we are mobile, and as I said, it's good seeing three of the folks I've worked here, and again, if there are any questions, come at me. The best way I can say is a lot of the people on the panel here, okay, and you're here because it's a financial forum, a lot of the people here have money. My purpose is to help you get their money. Take it out of their pocket. Fleece them if we can, but unlikely.
All right, I get to go last, actually. For those of you who are not familiar with the RDC network, an RDC is a regional development corporation. There are 12 of them in this state. I am the executive director for the one that takes in Lamoille County. As Charlie said, he works right out of my office. But we offer basically a portal just like many others. Any business that needs anything in this county should come to me first. If I can't help you directly, it's my responsibility to know who can, either among these people or others that we work with all over the state and with the federal government. We also have our own revolving loan fund, which is capitalized up to about $500,000 right now. And we make loans only to businesses within Lamoille County or businesses moving into Lamoille County. We keep our interest rates as low as we possibly can. And we are pretty open as to what we will or will not look at and accept an application for. So we've got money to loan too, but we put on workshops all the time. Many of you have come to our workshops. We typically do about 8 a year in conjunction with the SBDC. We do this event every year. I think this is the sixth time we've done this particular event. Charlie and I are both founding writers of something called Road Pitch, which is a business plan contest, essentially. We've been doing that for 5 years. Not happening this year, but hopefully it's going to be happening next year. We also have a program where we offer the services of our marketing expert, who's also a website developer. We offer her services to any business in Lamoille County free of charge. We have a grant program through her for website development as well. We pay the initial fee. And we're going to be launching next month a brand new program, which I'm very excited about. It's essentially going to be a Rent a CFO program. We have a guy who's going to be working with us who is phenomenal. He did a workshop for us just, last week before? And we have contracted with him to provide very high level but hands-on CFO services for small companies who really need a CFO, but they can't afford one. So he's going to be offering his services underwritten by us throughout Lamoille County. We're pretty excited about that. I think that's an innovative thing to do, and he's terrific. He really knows his stuff. So, should we take about a 10-minute break and then come back in for questioning? All right, so I'm going to be the facilitator here. Who has questions for this group? Nobody has any questions? Come on, guys.
Are those
come on.
low-fat donuts?
They're no-fat donuts.
And if you believe that, sure.
There you go.
The first piece of misinformation given.
Okay, who's got some questions there? Were they so good that they answered everything that you already had?
Well, I wanted to double ask Tim what he had said for the two places to look into for the art for me.
Yeah, so the Vermont Arts Council, right, is an excellent place to look for what you're doing. And I think then, and within that, there's a called Vermont Creative Network has established a place for more local, right, it is what it is, Vermont Creative Network. They're trying to go out there and expand and market the artists, right? So and it's a growing sector. The creative economy is something that's growing, I think, in Vermont and realizing what it can do for areas. It's a harder sell, but I think they're starting to put numbers behind it, so it's neat to see. So.
And the SBDC has a specialist in marketing the creative economy.
Yes, we do. So, and one of the questions that came up during break was, I kind of live here, my business is here, but I think that based on what I do and how I travel, I'd be better off in Lamoille. Can you work? Yes. One of the things we definitely do is we want you, you're the client, we work with you, all right? You're going to do the work, but we need you to be comfortable with what you're doing. And if the advisor that technically you're supposed to work with is kind of inconvenient even, then yeah, we're happy to make that, that's not a problem at all.
All right. Anything else?
I appreciate everybody's input. I'm just overwhelmed. Thank you.
There is a test after you.
Names, I forget names. I can't do that. I'm a bartender. I don't know anyone's name. I just kind of don't know. Janice just gave me a couple of ideas of who to speak with about. I'm a total startup, sole proprietor, and have $0. So I'm just trying to figure out, Charlie's been helping me to work on my business plan, and I'm not even at the point where I have solid projections or anything yet. I'm just kind of guesstimating, because this to me is an experience I've done once at a salt cave, which I thought was amazing, and to the point where I thought, whoa, Stowe needs this. This is something that's marketable to people that live there, to athletes, to people that meditate, to people with nothing to do on a rainy day, to everything. I feel like there's a need for it, and so I just was interested to, like, this light bulb thing went off, and I just don't really know what to do next, who to talk to next about trying to find money before I could lose the space that I'm interested in. She has it listed for sale, is a friend of mine, and wants me to have it, and is willing to give me a 5-year lease with an option and first right of refusal.
We're doing good so far.
So far, so good. But at the same time, there's a situation in Stowe that's making me nervous, where there was just a rethink arson fire that took down about 6 businesses in the lower village that are now looking to relocate with limited places. And I'm really nervous that somebody's going to say, hey, this has been on the market, it's around the same, and jump in there that has cash and I don't. So I'm just trying to, like, not sloppily, but full speed ahead, figure out how to do this.
Can I think for any of you, just start with a conversation. There's no reason you can't this afternoon pick up the phone and call the people that you think might be a good fit and have a conversation. I think that's what we're here for, is to ask the right questions. You may not know what questions to ask or what answers you need, but they're going to let you know. And just say, hey, Rich, I'm wondering if this is a good fit. Here's what I'm looking to do. Here's where I'm at. Working with Charlie and getting things, the plan and projections are going to be important as a startup, and good assumptions. So just start picking up the phone.
Shirley, you want to say something?
Yeah, so in listening to what you were saying, I think the best thing you're doing right now is working with Charlie. I think that's perfect. One of the other things that we often see when people are just barely starting, you know, you're just thinking, I want to do this business, it's all new, you're sole proprietor, you're just barely getting going, is oftentimes we will advise them to start with a small feasibility study for the area that they're looking to do this business. Is there a market for it? Is anyone interested in actually coming to this business for what you're offering for a service? See what that will produce for you, and that helps with the projections. Okay, because now you can demonstrate the need in the area, and that is, so. And there are several programs that are out there that can help assist with a feasibility study. There's several grants. We have one of them, and there's other entities that will do that. And Charlie can help advise you on that. And that gives you some background. That gives you some foundation for going forward, and can help build for you on those projections. So it's a nice path to go, and it's also a nice supportive path in working with Charlie on your business plan. Okay, and then it can give you that information that you need for the area. Will this be a service that will get utilized in the Stowe area and surrounding areas as well? I would suggest as well.
One of the things that you all should realize, and it's sometimes it's hard, we mention it, but sometimes it's hard to grasp. And Janice, thank you very much for your original story. It's for sometimes, I just closed on a deal 3 weeks ago, and it wasn't 8, but we had 6 at the table. So don't look at it as, you know, you're it. It might be you, it may be a principal lender, maybe a secondary lender, it may be the owner of the building, it might be a private investor. We can just keep going on and on and on in order to make the deal. Now, people go, well, what? You know what? If all those people are sitting around the table, it also is an indicator that maybe you have a pretty good idea. All right? And they're just trying to figure out how to make it work and where they can sit in at the table. So don't, when you hear, you know what, we may need 6 lenders, don't go, uh-oh, you know. But understand, sometimes we get lucky, maybe it's 1. You know, we just don't know until we kind of put the tentacles out there to try to feel. But yes, calling up some of these folks here and saying, hey, I was at the Financial Forum, and I just want to talk to you, Rich, about your folks that have the Salt Cave, and, you know, would they be willing to chat with me without you giving up confidentiality, and he can research that for you? And second of all, say, Rich, you know, if all goes well and the business plan stands to itself, would you be willing? You know, would you be willing to consider, okay, participating in this business?
Carmen had a...
Oh, I was just supplementing what you do. I used to work at the Women's Small Business Program, and they also help. They can help.
I've had her in touch with Gwen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gwen's at CWE.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another entity that's
There's
not
another
here.
one. Yeah.
Center for Women in Enterprise. Again,
They're all over.
We all work up in Burlington.
I could have had 25 additional.
Right.
We'd
be here till 5.
Marketing classes, you can get them through CWE. I mean, how do you do that market research? Do you do a survey? You know, talk to people.
As being a small town, I need to keep this as under wraps as I seriously can before somebody who has...
Somebody will steal it from her.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Somebody who's like, oh, I'll just do that, you know.
Yeah.
I can write a check.
Kim.
That's good, yeah.
So you have, there's resources also locally, which are obvious. I mean, for the data mining of like some of your projections, I mean, you can actually contact Stowe Mountain Resort, and they have numbers of the figures of their visitation. Stowe Area Association has figures for their visitation, and those are what lenders want, right? That's your projected, you know, marketable assets there, or the amount of people coming to Stowe. I mean, and you don't have to tell them what you're doing. You just want to start a business, and I think those are great places to start. And obviously, these guys know that.
Or Chamber of Commerce?
The Stowe Area Association is Chamber of Commerce, yes.
Well,
they're kind of.
Sort of.
Pseudo.
They are officially the regional marketing arm, whatever
they have those.
These days.
That's a little different.
I would just say, the other thing is we always give you know, it's really important to us that a new business is working with someone like the SBDC. We also get clients through the microbiz program, through the CAP agencies in the state. That gives us a level of assurance that the projections have been reviewed by someone with some expertise in not only geographically, but someone with some business expertise. Not that we don't trust the business owner, but it just gives us that sort of factor that like, okay, there's somebody else behind the wheel.
Yeah.
But I would never, I absolutely would encourage you to just have conversations with us all along the way. And if we do our job well, we'll tell you, where the potential challenges are, as well as, yes, this sounds really good if X, Y, and Z. So don't
I
ever
do
be afraid to
remember
close
we have resources, okay, business resource guide, Profit Sense, programs that we have access to, that we actually subscribe to, which would we have your business specific? Maybe, maybe not. But we certainly have what I would call the family of businesses. So what would be the family businesses of salt caves? What might we look at? Would that be massage therapy? Would that be yoga? Would that be other things within the family that we might expect? This is what you might expect, okay, to do if you do this. So we can give you that information. All right, but really the first thing you really need to come up with if you're new and starting, the best thing I can do for you is please, to the best of your ability, the very first sheet in every financial is going to be use and resource. What do you need money for? And please do not forget working capital. Okay, so what do you need money for?
And where's
the
it coming
second
from?
piece is where is it coming from? And actually, where it's coming from is the easiest piece sometimes. Because people go, well, how do I, working with clients, they say this piece of equipment, the retrofitting the space, so they've talked to a contractor. So they come up with all the things that they need, quote, cash for. Now, sometimes it's hard to get them to realize, I don't care where the cash is coming from right now, all right? Let's just look at where is the cash that you need. What do you need to make this project get up and running? Then we'll worry about where it comes from. Then we'll worry about what are your revenue streams, And again, we had it a couple of months ago with Bonnie and her coworker, where, on the table now for me is, for a lot of businesses, I'll introduce you to PTAC. It could be a revenue stream. John has a client that years ago I worked with the client, but was not here. And he's a local business, and he landed was it lacrosse? Mm-hmm. A lacrosse contract with the
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
The $50,000 order, biggest order he'd ever had, ever.
Yeah, so what we're saying is that, but if you were to ask me where is the starting point, is what do you need cash for? And then we'll worry where it's going to come from, then we'll do the revenue streams. And really, to me, and I don't know how they all feel, but once you get what you need cash for, what are the revenue streams using some kind of standard, doing the rest is really a piece of cake. P&L, cash flow, balance sheet, really is. Mainly because the computer program I use does it for me. All right, so
You have a good one.
So it's kind of like I say, a piece of cake.
I'm going to put in a plug on the research side too. Bonnie referred to what she does as the best kept secret in state government. There's another secret in this state that most people are not aware of. You all, at some point in your lives, in your business, are going to have to do some kind of research. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's a little. The Vermont State College libraries are open to any resident of the state, free of charge. You can go in there and use not just books, but the state colleges spend millions of dollars a year subscribing to various databases that you can get access to right through the computers sitting there in the library. And if you need help, they've got information librarians working there full time that'll help you find what you're looking for. And it costs you nothing except your time. Fun.
I've put in 13 hours of research for one client in the last week, also free of charge.
Yeah.
So the resources are out there. You just have to look us in the face and talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Or call on the phone.
Or call on the phone, yeah. Or email.
I teach a class in the spring every year at NVU Johnson campus, on small business management. And these are all, full-time college students who are taking this course. And even I say to them, library research, and I see their eyes glaze over, But you know what? Research is necessary, guys. You got to do it. You need to know what you're doing or what you're not going to do. More importantly. More questions?
I guess I would just say thank you everybody for coming and explaining all of what you do. It's really great to hear that there's somebody out there that could possibly help me with all these sea of questions I have.
I thought with your name you might be growing hemp.
No hemp. No, just the high oaks. All natural. Hemp is an interest point, but I'm not going to get into that right away. I guess what I would just overall say is that I have a small business, very small, sole proprietorship that I started in 2014. Basically, I planted an orchard in the background of everything else I was doing. It was something I was really passionate about. I planted it bigger than a home orchard. I wanted to scale it to a community-sized orchard. I also knew that I had to make some money, so I started hiring out my services, which I have a lot of skills in the orcharding trade. Pruning is my main income generator. I do a lot of custom tree pruning. I then branched that out into shrub pruning because that happens in the summer when people aren't getting their orchards pruned. Tried to diversify where I can, but I had a big sidetrack. Several years ago, I found a great day job that took over, and it was all related. It was a vineyard, big vineyard project that I started. That went for 3 years, covered all my needs, but this business just kind of idled. I kept up a few great customers, and my trees kept growing, and I started. But now I'm in this more narrow place where I've got to ramp up. Last year was my first year back to full scale operating this business as my primary profession. And I guess I'm great at ideas. I come up with all these new visions, but I do need some baseline assistance. I'm assuming that SBDC is the ones to go to refine and rewrite a business plan from now, because the one I wrote in 2014 is it's a little outdated. I've learned a lot of things where I want to focus further. More specifically, some accounting advice, structurally, and I don't know if that goes to anybody else out here or just would be your department.
We can get you there.
Okay, you'll at least point me in the right direction. Trying to decide if I need to scale up to an LLC. I think I should. These are all okay. How to do that? And when you're working out of just pocket income and have very low overall ability to move, how do you make that right move to the next step to get to where you want to go next? And I would love to have employees, but I'm scared to heck of it because of just all the loopholes. It seems like you have to jump through to get into having. I don't want to suddenly have liability of all these employees, and I'm barely. So I need to scale it up to a more year-round income stream anyway. And I guess, while it is a food-based business, I'm looking to grow my food product value stream, getting into some cider and vinegars and things like that. I really know that I'm always probably going to be using my service and consultation arm. So that was just a big kind of yap about what I'm looking to do. I will need some cash. There's a couple pieces of equipment that would really help me get moving more, and I could hire them out initially and then retreat them into my own operation as it expands, or cross-use them. But just putting it out there, and if anybody has any immediate ideas, like, yes, you should be doing this, and I'd love to follow up with all of you, and I wrote down what everybody seems to be really good at and be able to be in touch, but just to the group, just putting it out there.
I would talk right to Abby Willard with, she's at the Agency of Ag.
Okay.
Talk right to her. She can help you out with so much of this.
Abby Willard at the
Agency of Ag.
Agency of Ag. Okay.
She is the marketing director for the Agency of Agricultural Food and Markets. So she's there's a marketing division, so to speak. But but and she's also on the Worklands Enterprise Board, which I think would be a great grant, grant for your equipment piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
I love that you're asking these questions.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Phasing up.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying.
You're asking the right questions.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
having
Talk
a
with
working
you after as
capital
well. We've
for
got a value-added producer
employees.
grant that sounds like it's right. It
Okay.
works well with the working lands
Yep.
grant as well.
So working lands and
value-added
USDA,
grant.
okay.
Tim and I are both on the Working Lands Enterprise Board. I'm also on the co-chair of the Education and Workforce Development Working Group for the Farm to Plate Program, and I'm on the board of directors of the Vermont Fresh Network. So between all of us, we know who to talk to.
Okay.
And just quickly, are you tied in at all with any of the cider makers in Vermont?
Loosely, I'm very interested in working with them. Are you talking about like the hard cider
Yeah.
producers?
There's an
Yeah.
association, yes.
Yeah, I'm not yet. That's one thing I've decided not to go into is making hard cider just because of the again,
But in
logistics,
terms of supply,
supplying.
if you're doing some unique
Yep.
growing, because
Yes.
Eden Ciders, for example, is one of our portfolio companies.
Yes. No, I'm loosely integrated with a lot of different cider makers, and I've done all the networking. Now I just need to get my business act together. It's a little. These are the side of my skill set that is thinner, and so I just need a little hard fact business advice from most of you folks.
There's actually, there's a shortage. You talk to the cideries out there. There's there's a demand for apples, Vermont apples. So, correct. They'd want to bring them from here. They'd like to. Yeah.
Here. I'm also very interested in grapes. I have an 8-acre glacially planted field, I guess you could say it, up in the Northeast Kingdom that the apple trees love it. The pears
glacier on
love
it, I bet.
There was a small glacier last week, still retreating. It's a beautiful spot, but also grapes. Getting into wine grapes and juice grapes is something else I'm interested in, and those are all pretty hot topics in Vermont right now. So I want to catch these waves and possibly be a producer of these crops, but without ditch wholesaling a product out to a big mass market. To craft would be a real specific.
So one of the things that I didn't mention, and which is part of USDA, is we are not the only division of USDA. So rural development has sister agencies, if you will, which is Farm Service Agency and Natural Resource Conservation Service, which for any ag producer is something that you're going to want to be aware of.
Right.
And they also have grants. They also have direct loans, which are subsidized. The interest rates on some of the Farm Service Agency loans are very low-rated loans. And then NRCS, though they don't call them grants, they call them contract payments. They do not require repayment, so they technically are grants. They're just funny about the terminology there. But they also have grants that they provide not just for manure transfer systems or water quality, but they have hoop houses, they help with crop plantings, they do all different types of programs. Again, we've got 46 of our own, I can't keep track of theirs. I would suggest that you would contact, or even doing food-based stuff, if you're production-based at all, you would want to contact either or both Farm Service Agency and Natural Resource Conservation Service. They're county-based. So in the Northeast Kingdom, there's St. Johnsbury or Newport, depending on which direction you're in. Okay, so that would be a great office to contact. Both of them are located up there.
Yep, as I define all this out, I'm realizing that I am in a crop production business, food business, and a service concept. So I have all these different branches of it that make it a little bit harder to find the right
If you give me
route.
a call, I can help you with numbers and people who do certain different things for USDA.
And even more, the network even grows larger. So through the Working Lands Enterprise Board, they basically give funds to several different organizations in Vermont. One is the Vermont Housing Conservation Board, who runs a farm and forest viability program, which provides a lot of on-the-ground technical assistance. And they work with UVM Cooperative Extension as well. But then also, what's another one? Vermont Sustainable Jobs Funds has a technical assistance as well for a lot of what you're doing. So there's such a network out there.
I'm starting to see that. Yes. Thank you.
You had a question, I think.
Yes. My question is regarding skilled workers. I know Tricia, Bonnie, and Megan mentioned about skilled training and things like that. Me and my husband are doing farmers market, and sometimes we have hard time to find worker, because as you know, small business normally can't pay more than some certain amount. and to work like once a week, some center workers. One who paid, and we talked to a lot of farmers that also sells like things in market, and they also have hard time to expand their business because they can't find skilled worker or someone who wants to work for maybe minimum wage or like $12 an hour, something like that, or it's too far, like all kind of that barrier. So, and seeing our neighbor friends like closing their business because they can't expand more than that because of that kind of like financial problem. Like we're watching our juice friend closing their business, sausage friend closing the business, like all sort of stuff. It's kind of like challenging for us. So we're wondering if like any of you can help directing us to like where to find like skilled workers or someone who really, because some business you need to have someone who really passionate about your product to be able to sell them. And
If we could do that, we would all be rich. The lack of labor, skilled labor in particular, is probably one of the biggest problems the state has all over, not just in your field, but in virtually everything. And there are lots of people that are working on it. I don't see any magic bullet that's going to make it go away, but it is certainly a focus of many organizations as well as state government. And I wish I could tell you what to do, where to go, but where are you physically located? Okay. One of the things I would suggest, particularly since you are a food-oriented business, all of the tech centers around the state, like this one, for example, have culinary programs. And they've got students that are really interested in food. You know, you might be able to contact the tech center nearest you, and I'm not sure which one that is, and talk with them about, do they have students who would like to work at a farmer's market on the weekend? Work for you during the summer on your farm. Worth a shot, it's a telephone call.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I might say to you is you've got two things. A, you need a body, and B, it sounds like you need a skill, or would like a skill. Let's do that. So the first thing I would probably tell you is, you know what? I don't know as if you're going to get both, but what I would certainly say is hire for attitude and teach the skill.
Yes.
All right, because if you hire for attitude, if it's somebody in the culinary program or somebody, they may not only have a passion, but they really are intrigued and really have a great attitude. Then it's going to be up to you to teach the skill. And I think sometimes businesses get too frustrated that they can't find a person with everything they need. Well, as John said, that's probably not going to happen. So what I have my clients do is hire for attitude. Somebody that comes in, seems like, hey, have a great attitude, and then falls on you. You got to understand going in that I have to teach the skill.
Anybody have anything they want to add to that? Other questions?
You mentioned marketing at what development through you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a person, a marketing expert and a website developer who is on a retainer to us. In fact, I think you may have met her when you and your partner were in, Alyssa Clancy. She lives in Hyde Park. And her marketing services are available free of charge, and we do have the website development grant program that she does for us too, which means that we pay the first $500 of her fee, and anything over and above that, you pay the difference. Anything else?
Yeah. So I had this coffee roasting business that I want to expand bigger, and I found some property that I'm interested in. It's actually part of Johnson just designated as a potential economic space, and so there's several different buildings, but I think it's all open to bank. So, but there's 5 or 6 different buildings. And as a coffee roaster, I don't want to buy all of those buildings. How can I get, I was just talking to the brewer, instead of going to Stowe, come to Johnson. Who do I talk to about getting people together to help, with the economic of Johnson, to help more businesses come to this space? Who could I?
Are you talking about trying to put together sort of a cooperative ownership of a building, or?
Well, no, of this whole property. I mean, I don't want to buy the whole property, and I can't just buy one building.
How do you know you can't buy just the one building?
Well, I don't know, actually. But it's,
Incubator?
Is it owned by the town?
Yeah, I think you need to find out who owns it,
Well, I think the bank owns it.
right? Well, then find out who the bank
I
is.
guarantee if the bank can unload a building, they're going to unload a building.
Yeah, and my guys, I don't know, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things. Is it technically one piece of property owned by the bank, or would they need to subdivide, which would add a different way?
If you talk to Brian Story, who is the Town of Johnson administrator, okay, he will tell you that the state, NVU Johnson has been toying with the idea of a business incubator in town for quite some time. And Elaine Collins, the president of the college, happens to be on my board of directors. And we've been talking about this on and off for a while. The problem is, for an incubator, a real incubator building to work and to cash flow so that it's sustainable, the building has to be free. Utilities probably have to be free. The cost of running that building basically has to be zero. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So that putting together an incubator building is not the easiest thing in the world. But if you were looking to buy one of those buildings, I'd call up the bank and ask them. Do you know which bank it is?
I don't know. I know that the property was auctioned. It was under auction.
Okay, which properties are?
The Parker and Stearns.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Brian can tell you all the details about this property. The problem you're going to have down there with a food business is there's.
Yeah, it's a coffee roasting, so I would.
Yeah, but I was about to say that with any kind of food operation, you're going to have, particularly that site, you're probably going to have brownfields issues. And I happen to be the co-chair of the Lamoille County Brownfields Committee.
So my guess is you'll have a question asked.
So it will come up, particularly for a food business.
I'm just curious if any of you guys have helped other businesses scale up on Amazon. It's one of the most logical paths for growth of ours right now. Mainly to do with there's all kinds of marketing. I'd just be interested to hear stories of how other businesses have grown on Amazon.
Yeah, we definitely have Vermont businesses selling on, like a cookie cutter company, and then Speed.
That was just going to come to mind. And I think
sells on Amazon.
I think Ben is
Clark. Ben Clark.
Ben Clark
Yeah.
is actually helping other companies
He's
too.
helping us as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
But would always be interested to speak to others.
If you want to talk to a local company who sells a lot on Amazon in the food area, there's a company in Stowe called Pot Liquor Kitchen, and they sell a lot of their product on Amazon.
Yep, they're one of my clients, and I was thinking about your issue with getting labor. I have a couple of clients, who I'm not going to mention obviously, that were having a very hard time getting entry-level help. And they went through the Department of Corrections. They have a release program for nonviolent people who screwed up, and they paid their dues, and no one wants to hire them with a DOC symbol on their resume. There was another client I have that went through the LUN program in Burlington to help young parents get on their feet, mostly young mothers. And they both love their employees greatly. So they had really, really good luck, and it's kind of scary to say, well, call the prison, but the test and the barriers these people have to reach to get to that point of recommendation is huge, greater than any of us would do to hire a person. So that might be, it might be a good option.
And they're hard workers.
Very hard workers.
Yeah. We worked with prison crews, and they were
Yes.
by far
If you-
harder working.
The second client, her person, people have been with her for over 10 years now.
If you
And
talk to the
loyal as a
local
day is long.
restorative justice office that handles Waitsfield, they'll be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
point you in the right direction.
Good idea. And I guess I would just add, just being an advocate for a livable wage and trying to find ways, in addition to finding alternative folks, what can you do as a business to really think about investing in those employees and paying a livable wage? Because in Vermont, 10 to 12 bucks an hour is not, as we all know. And I know it's difficult as an early stage business, I totally get that, but how can you plan to facilitate that? Because paying a livable wage, having a good working environment, building the culture, building engagement, that's going to keep those folks long term, and that is a lot cheaper than turning over people every couple of months. So.
And for the farmer's market, you know, Walmart doesn't have greeters anymore. I'd go to the senior center to see who's really bored to tears and look for some Sunday help. They don't care for if it's $10, $12 an hour. They want something to do.
There is a statewide program called RSVP.
Seriously.
There's a statewide project called RSVP that does exactly
My
that.
friends that are, old enough to be at the senior center, and they would so go just.
Yes, they would.
Let them play the video of my father. You don't have to talk people to death. You have to use your resources. You got a baby by right now. Yeah, she's gonna love food. She's gonna want to use your food, cook for the, yeah.
So it's just the farmer's market?
Anything else?
You were talking about Blackfield or about her, where she lives.
Brownfield.
What exactly?
It's property that has been polluted by whatever oil, transmission fluid, paint, whatever. And as such, it is a brownfield and has to be mitigated in some way, depending upon what the future use of that property is going to be. And one of the highest uses is food, and they don't let you can't have anything in there that's potentially going to be affecting the food. So. Any last words of wisdom for these nice people who came today?
You all are doing yeoman's work. You're the ones that keep our communities alive and hire the people in our communities, so thank you. Yeah. It's hard work being an entrepreneur.
All you have to do is call. If we can't help you, we're going to tell you. And we're going to direct you to where you need to go, but call. Because that's all we do. We're here waiting for you to call.
And just a reminder, there is some literature on the table over there that they brought with them. Please go over and have a look and pick up what you like. Thanks very much for coming. And thank all of you.
Yes.